As you heard, my name is Ryte and surname is Venckuviene. And even though it sounds confusing, but it worked very well. In 3 years, 1 month, and 5 days. I'm working at Enterprise Estonia, and I started at Enterprise Estonia by using actually the services of Export Advisor. That's why I love that my work. I see how different it can be. Let's see then. Next one. Today, after so many good presentations, it's really difficult for me to say something clever. I'm not thinking, so I manage that. I just want maybe tell you how important it is to be sustainable, and it's not only to make effort, it's actually giving you rewards. So if you start something like new ideas, new plans, you may start from the golden circle to understand why you are doing this. It's not because I'm telling you or my colleague telling you to be sustainable because it's profitable, because it will make you good reputation and a lot of money in the future. Then when you understand why you're doing, let's understand how. And after that, make a plan what to do. If you're talking about, if you're asking, or let's say in that way, if you're asking why to be sustainable, I can, among other many reasons I can tell you before, because you want to export, for example, to Norway or to Japan, where is not sustainable companies is actually not welcome anymore, it's never been, or because you want to be in line with the society, not because staying behind them. In Norway, the sustainable way, it's very complex, and they start very early. They start from the lifestyle, mentality, even in the education. Believe me, as ex-teacher, I was washing milk cartons with my students and reusing them for the planting or for their art lessons. So they started very early, and it's already in mentality from the kindergarten. And how they're doing? They are putting in all the regulations, law, support system, procurement systems as well. I will tell a little bit more later. And they have a lot of respect for the nature, for the environmental, for the human rights, and for the transparency as well. And you can Google a lot of information on the internet. But I can tell you from my own experience. If you see that guy that's staying on the stage, it was last year. I met him in 2020 in Steel Conference in Oslo. And then he was just having idea how to reuse building materials. And we was discussing with him, like, okay, how to certify, how to standardize, how to prove that it's sustainable product to the next building, or what products need to take it before the demolition or after demolition. Last year, he was standing here in Tallinn as my speaker at the conference together with Norwegian Estonian Chamber of Commerce and the Embassy and Enterprise Estonia, and telling the minister and ambassador and all the audience what they are doing. Then they had already the plan. And the plan, like usually in Norwegian way, it worked. In March, a month ago, it's opened a big hall, like 4,500 square meters, recycle center, not somewhere in North Norway, but in Oslo, in Øken, where they have already certified and standardized used products for reuse, because demand is really big. It's bigger than actually they can offer. And now I can tell you, because my background is from the building and construction, that now in almost every new projects, you need to do analyze if and how much you can reuse the building materials from other products. So it's again, it's in the system. And then, if you ask me why to do it? Because it's profitable. Because even McKinsey telling us that circular economy will be one of 10 most important future industries in Norway. Because it will estimate about 46 billion Norwegian crowns soon. and will create 14,000 new works at least. So the reuse or the circular economy is nothing that takes money, it gives you the money. And I think most of us agree that this circular economy is nothing new. We had it in the generations. We was using, reusing, repairing things, not throwing away like we do now. Just buy new and throw away. So then, some examples. I mentioned the public procurement, or procurement as well. They have for example, in the section 5, every single procurement needs to put weight on the environmental, in at least 30%. Usually it's 40-45. So there is already the point you can win or lose. Depends where you put your thoughts on. Transparency Act. It has been actually in many, many years, but now they started from June. It's the regulation that you need to prove the whole value chain down to the smallest supplier, that they respect the human rights, that they have decent work conditions. You mentioned the child labor is even not a question there. So right now, every single day they can ask you, and you need to prove it. So this is kind of, again, action, things in the action. And of course, it will make Norway to contribute to this SDG, what we mentioned before. What in action? For example, Oslo Commune, that is one of the most progressive municipalities in Europe, they decided to reduce food waste in the own businesses and per capita as well by half in 2030. They want to halve meat consumption in municipality canteens already this year. They also want to achieve 50% of organic food to all the municipality procurement purchases. And they introduce vegetarian food as a standard choice in events. I think it has been all the time, so it's nothing new. They have a plan how to reduce the plastic, how to use more bioplastic or recycled plastic. Only their ways they've proven the good environmental friendly solution. And not only Norwegian government working on the sustainability, Estonian government do the same, and our organization, we work a lot for that. We have even our own sustainability development department that actually organizing this interesting conference, and you can read here, it's a lot of things we do for ourselves and for the companies at least. You can find all this information on the internet page of Enterprise Estonia to understand what we're doing. I don't want to read this and use your time because it's actually too valuable time. Then maybe it's time again just to repeat why the sustainable business model is so important. Because customers already demand sustainable products. And those products they demand produced in the high ethical standard line. Companies and public enterprises increasingly choose sustainable products from the subcontractors. Investors already checking your businesses for the testing for the climate risk and corporate social responsibility, at least from Norway, I think from other countries as well. And a sustainable company, you will be much better positioned in the changing framework for the environmental. And the workers usually prefer sustainable companies because it feels good to work for the company that do something extra. Like you mentioned it, those smiles. We love to do good things in the right way. And here's some ideas where to start and how to do if you don't start it. But before I take this, I can just tell you that Estonian companies are much more sustainable than they realize. I had 100 meetings in those 3 years, and almost every time when we start to think about what they have, what kind of documentation they have, what they do, they have almost everything. They just need to put it in the right system, in the right order. So please check at home what you have and put it in the right way. So I think then you realize that you're all at least more than halfway on this road. It's important to understand what actually it means for you and build the sustainability culture inside the company and ensure that everyone is together with you. From the board members to the workers, everybody understand what are you doing and why. The only way to get them contribute. Integrate in your business plans, strategies. Let's say, if the first things you talk about is health and safety, the second should be sustainability, and then you can talk about profit and other things. That's what I want to tell you today. My time is out, as I can see. So I can just show some sources, and I am still here, and I will be here, and I think it's easy to find me by the colors. So if any questions, just find me and ask me later. Thank you. Here is my email.